I'm in Dublin.
Let's see your shoes.
Let me see. Can I switch the camera? Let's see. Does it let me switch the camera? I don't know if
Oh,
it'll let me switch or not.
it's a One Plus. It should be. Oh no, because it's Zoom, right?
Oh, I know. Zoom's kind of tricky. There's my shoes.
Mm,
Tiny.
And
no.
here, let me show you my view. This is the view from the conference center.
That's pretty.
Wow, that's
Isn't that neat?
awesome.
The building is really wild. It's like it's very unique.
It's no Vegas, baby.
No, no, it is not.
Yeah.
No, the castles here are real.
And if you don't
So looks like a very light crowd today. Good morning, Steve and Jerry and Tina and Jason in no particular order. As usual, top questions. Anybody have anything on their mind? Anything that's burning your biscuits? Anything that we need to discuss at the top? Nope, nobody's got any questions. It's going to be
I've
one of
got
those
a
kinds.
question. We've had a problem onboarding our staff with the Microsoft authentication. So we've had to revert back to username and password to be able to do that. Once we have that first authentication, can now the users go back to the Microsoft Authenticator?
Exactly. And one thing to note is anybody who's in as an MSP user, you can just straight up delete them. But anybody who's in as an MSP admin, you have to demote them to a user, and then you can delete them. After you've deleted them, then you just wait a couple of minutes and wait for the the databases to stabilize. Then re-invite them when they get that new invitation email. There'll be a link to take it out into Google Chrome incognito is what we always recommend. But then they can use their Microsoft or Kaseya One credits, depending on how they want to flow.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. A good solid question. So anybody else have anything top of mind? For anybody that joined late, our friend Ben is not going to be a full participant. He's just going to hang out and kind of watch what's happening today because he's at DataCon in Europe right now. And Ben, did you want to share with the recording and with the audience what you found out about Evil Jinx?
Yeah, I was doing a presentation this morning, and went through all the how to protect yourself, all this other stuff, and we built our server. And then I went to test it, and it said that the username was invalid. So I tried a different one, and that was invalid. And then I basically had to revert back to a video because it appears that it was not relaying the correct username. We checked some of the event details of what was being sent to Microsoft, and it was basically just sending the wrong username. It was some strange email on Microsoft.com, but it was basically saying invalid. So I don't know if that's Microsoft's way of stopping Evil Jinx. So that might be an interesting development that I don't think anybody has noticed yet. At least I haven't heard any chatter. On a whim, I tried a different computer. I tried a different internet connection. I tried blowing the server away completely and reinstalling. And so that might be a win for the good guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my question is, thinking through this, Evil Jinx does things other than Microsoft. Can we do any component level testing with other applications?
Yeah, most of the ones that it comes with don't work very well. The Microsoft's always worked really well. There is one fishlet is what they call them. Basically, it's a YAML file that shows that teaches Evil Jinx how to sign in to the platform. There's one that's geared towards Microsoft, which is not your typical sign-in screen. It looks a little different, and that one does work. So it could be that the particular fishlet is not working, but the one it's the most popular one, it might just need to be retooled a little bit. So I may end up doing that and seeing if I can get around it. Should be interesting.
And the other question when you're talking kind of came up in my brain was, is that like a resolvable GUID that Microsoft is making that email address up, or is there some connection, or is it absolutely random every time?
It's the same email address. It's basically, I Googled the email address that's in there, and it shows up nowhere on the internet. So it's really interesting. I'll have to write something up and show you the findings. But it almost seemed very suspicious, and then I hopped on multiple different networks and used multiple different computers, even my phone, and it was the same email address. It's very strange. I'll say that.
It is. That
Yeah.
is. Well, I
Yeah.
look forward to hearing more investigation. And has anybody
Yeah,
else on the
it
call
did
heard
stop my
about anything?
demo.
Nobody else has heard anything on this, have you? Yeah. Ben's neck deep in it. So, Ben, thanks for the updates, and I hope the rest of DataCon is as much fun as we had in Vegas. No, Tina's not there. It won't be as much fun.
That's true. Tina would love it.
Um,
Everybody's very reserved, and it's a lot more calm than Vegas. So
Yeah.
I think Tina, you'd dig it.
I'd get them
Um,
wrapped up.
I suspect you would. I suspect you would, my friend.
I mean, yeah, but Chip's not here, so that's sad, and I haven't seen Jim yet. So Leron's here, but that's the only person I know that's here.
Excellent. Well, I hope you enjoy the time there at DataCon and the rest of your vacation, my friend. Our friend Amanda, from the development side. Amanda, what is your actual title? It's like you're the most important person after Leron over there.
No, Adam and I, we were both product managers.
Product managers, very good. You may have tripped across Amanda in some of the other meetings, but she's here to kind of give us some assistance. And this is mostly for me because I need some help understanding how to use snapshots and what all's going on with Fortify. So if you guys have any questions, shout them out. We are lucky enough to have Amanda at our fingertips for a few minutes this morning. Amanda, take it away.
All right, let me hit share. Can you see Fortify dashboard right now?
Looks good.
Oh, shit. My cursor is gone again, just like last week on the... Hold on, let me stop share and try. Maybe if I just do the whole screen instead of that one monitor. Hold on.
No judgments on the number of tabs. Amanda, you can just show us what you got.
Yeah, no, I have just one tab open with Fortify, so you should just see that.
All right. We
Dashboard
can
again?
see your screen. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, and I can see my cursor, so now I know where I'm going. All right, so you asked for snapshots, kind of overview, and then, any other questions we might have had. So what I wanted to do is start on the dashboard and kind of point out where the snapshots now live here. So snapshots are similar to templates, but snapshots and templates are two totally separate entities, right? Templates are created based off of the custom policies and recommended actions that we've created and are in our library, where snapshots, you can pull in and create a snapshot based off of conditional access policies or Intune device configuration policies right now. We will be adding additional policy types in the future, but that's what those two are. So on this dashboard page now, in order to accommodate people using the secure score and templates or the snapshots, we've kind of rearranged the screen a little bit. So you can see the secure score box has moved over here. And if you hover, you get an explanation. You get kind of a clearer visual that the secure score here is 91% and the potential score is 97.8%. So there's a couple of recommended actions out there that would increase their secure score based off of their current licensing. And so you get that information, which had been its kind of own self in a column, but over there now if you hover. And then where you could used to see where just the templates were applied, you'll now also be told if a snapshot is applied. And if you hover, you'll get the name of the snapshot. And if you hover, you'll get the name of the template if one is actually applied. I'm in our dev environment. Otherwise, I can't show you everything. I don't have enough stuff on our production to show you everything. So some things might be blank, but that's okay. We can talk through it. And so the other big change here is that this column now is empty. by default, which is the benchmark column. This is where you're going to pick one to many snapshots that you want to see as a benchmark. So I have one named Amanda. I've got one that we've called the golden tenant, etc. So you can add, like I said, the one to many over here. And even if the snapshot has not yet been applied to the tenant, it's going to go in the background and it's going to say, it still has policies that match this snapshot though. So this is where it would rank. So, you know, if I've got 0 of them, I should consider applying this snapshot because maybe there's a vulnerability or something that this snapshot can address, right? Whereas this one already has 1 out of 2 and 5 out of 7. Okay, this one's not my priority, right? The secure score is pretty high and it has most policies applied to it. Secure score on this one's only 28% and it has no policies applied to it. This is the tenant that requires my focus, my attention, right? So that's kind of how the dashboard will work now. And based off of me adding those benchmarks over there, you can see our benchmark panel now expands. So the top 3 are always there, which are the ones that'll give you your secure score basis. And then the ones in the blue are the ones for the snapshots that you've added. And so this will tell you for your for your instance, how those apply to everybody that you have here, which is why you can see it's just 25% and 36%. So those were the updates we made to the dashboard screen here. And so if you come over to snapshots here, it should look very familiar to you. It should look similar to templates. It should look similar to even like Respond and IOCs, right? So same look and feel. What you're getting here is your list of your current snapshots that are available. If you toggle to community snapshots, you'll see that. We haven't turned it on yet. Honestly, we haven't really had anybody submit. So we're kind of just waiting to get some submissions and then we'll turn it on and we'll put in the grouping of templates, of snapshots that have been sent over to us. But so the community snapshots are the ones that are, you know, crowd surfaced, if you will. Somebody has decided that this snapshot works well for them. They then submit it to us. We review it. Just make sure there's no settings that are maybe do harm or something like that, you know, so that we can make some slight modifications for people. And then we'll publish it to the community and it'll be there for everybody to use. But once that's turned on, the view will be just like this, right? It's just that those are available snapshots that you haven't applied. And these are the snapshots that you've imported. Because we have 2 different types of snapshots, we have the conditional access policies and we have the Intune device configuration policies. You're going to get a different tag above them and it's going to be color coded. You can actually type in the search bar just like Intune and it'll look for that tag as well. So then it shortcuts your list to just that type of policy if that's what you're trying to do with the search bar up top here. If I go back to our full list, you'll get the name of the snapshot. You'll get your description, you'll get who created it, the creation date, and you'll know which organizations it's been applied to. If this is your first time creating a snapshot and you don't have a list, what you're going to do is come to the upper right-hand corner and click the Import Snapshot button. You need to have the tenant that you want to copy the policies from have a Fortify connection and that connection be active, not broken. So once you pick your tenant, you click the Next button. And then you're going to pick whether or not you're trying to pull in conditional access policies or Intune device configuration policies. The way that Microsoft's APIs work, we can't do both. So you do need to select one at a time. You can obviously import from the same tenant the 2 different types. It's just you can only do it one at a time. So you pick the type and then you would give it a name. And then you click the Import Snapshot button. I don't know how long that'll take on this dev environment, so I'm not going to hold us up for that. We're going to pretend that I clicked that import button, right? And it's going to then go out and find all the conditional access policies on that tenant, and it's going to pull them in, and it's going to show you this. Okay, here are all those policies we found. We found 4 policies. You know, are these for what you're looking to create in this snapshot? So you can do the select all and add to selected. If, you know, there was only 1 or 2 you wanted to, you could highlight that and click the remove, you know, or if only selectively highlighted 1 and click the add to selected. So you can pick and choose, even though it imported all of these, whether or not you really want all of these to be included in the snapshot. Also from within this screen, you can see that we have the little edit button here. And when you hover over the customized column, you'll get the full description of what's happening here. These are the parameters that were configured on the policy on the tenant. So we've pulled them in and we're calling these global parameters because we've pulled them in at this higher level, right? And so what we do is if we currently support the configuration of that parameter, it'll be an open field and you can make any modifications you'd like. If it's not one we yet support, and we do add these, all the time, so eventually we will probably support all of these unless it's something new that we haven't seen yet. These ones, are just grayed out, and there's not much you can do as far as configuration here. But what we do with these parameters, if there is a like for like on the tenant, then we will apply them. So as an example, if you have the same groups across your tenants and US sales was a consistent group, this will be applied to that next tenant and that next tenant and that next tenant. If it doesn't match, we just don't set the global parameter. You'd have to go and individually do it on that tenant itself. And I'll show you that in a minute. So there's no real harm in these. If it matches, it'll apply it. If it doesn't, it skips it. The one that I really want to call out here, though, is we have the report only and the enabled. So you are able to turn on all of these conditional access policies in report only mode, meaning it won't actually apply the policy and, force the user into a certain behavior pattern. But what it'll do is if the user performs an action against that policy, it'll log it in the report and you're able to see how many hits you'd get on that policy. And then you can decide if you want to enable it or not. By default, the value is coming in from the tenant you copied it. So if you've only done your testing with report only, it's going to come as report only and you can apply it as report only. Or if you're comfortable with, your testing as report only and now you're ready to let it be enabled, you don't have to actually enable it when you pull it in. You can enable it here. And then when you apply this to your other tenants, it'll be in an enabled state. I am not going to save anything, sorry, just so I don't screw up anybody's testing, but that's kind of the big pieces from this screen. Does anybody have any questions yet?
It's pretty immensely detailed and powerful. That's very cool, Amanda.
Thanks. All right, let me go back then so I don't mess up anybody's testing. So out here, what I did is I clicked edit in order to mimic, that the screen had opened. But anytime you want to make a change, same thing, you'd click the edit button. If you want to duplicate it, oh, there's group A that I want to apply these policies as enabled, and group B, I want to apply them as report only. You could do a duplicate and label one snapshot as enabled and one snapshot as read only. So that you don't have to import each time, you can just make a duplicate. You can delete it. And then what's interesting here is this view sync history button. I was hoping I would have like a better example to show you guys, but the view sync history button is where you're going to see anything that is like quote unquote, like a little out of whack, right? When you try to apply it to an organization, if something failed, this is where you're going to see it. And if something fails, it'll actually show this button as red, which is why I was hoping I'd have that example, but I guess not in development right now. Otherwise, it'll be gray, meaning the last time it synced, there were no problems. There's no errors with the jobs. But so if you click that button, you can see you'll get a history of it. So each time it has been run and what happened with it. So the green are obviously everything was good. Red means something failed. I don't know why we have orange. Oh, 4 were skipped. That's why it's all orange, even though it says 4 out of 4. So orange is skipped, red is an error, and gray is just kind of ignored. It didn't really apply. And green is successful. So you'll see that here. And so say on one of these red ones, you're like, well, what failed and why did it fail? If you click the view details button, it's going to show you the error and you can actually read through it. And so this says your tenant is not licensed for this feature. Please upgrade your subscription to access it. So this tenant doesn't have the licenses to support the policy, essentially. And I suspect that'll be, yeah, that's our message for all of these ones here. But if there's a different reason for some of them, and it'll show you that sync history per organization. So if one organization was successful and one failed because of that, you'll see that as well, just the failures in that view details screen.
And quick questions. Can you kind of talk about the 04 gray or 4 of 0 gray? There's that's
Yeah.
confusing me, and I think I'm not the only one.
Yeah, so this is when, so on this date, at some point, one organization was applied to the snapshot, and then at some point, the organizations were removed. And so when it synced, there weren't any organizations there. And so these 4 policies, there was nothing for it to do, so it was just skipped, and that's why it's gray.
James, does that make sense? Thank you. Perfect. One other question from me.
Mhm.
I'm seeing we've been doing this for 54 days. Is that why we've got 54 records? Will we eventually see 400 days of history?
Yeah, so like this, you can see there's several in one day for this one because
Oh,
of our
right.
testing. Typically this is running once in our nightly job kind of thing. But when you do apply it, it will actually attempt to apply it now, and then it'll sync again at the nightly job. So once you've applied it once, you don't have to worry about applying it again. If someone goes to the tenant directly and changes something, the nightly job is going to like essentially self-heal that. It's going to reapply it from this snapshot again. So Anthony, you'll get one entry for the overnight job, and then you might have some one-offs when you've applied it initially at the like, you know, when you add a new organization, you initially apply it.
Right on. And if for whatever reason there's a failure, does that generate an alert that flows into the PSA?
It does. It does.
Excellent.
And like I said, you'll get the red too on this dashboard. So that view sync history button will be all reds if you come in here.
Right on. Thanks for letting me divert.
No problem.
And one other question.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a nice detailed knowledge base article for this?
I believe that why am I Jesse? I believe Jesse already has one, but I will double check with him, but I think he already does.
Yep. Um, Jerry asked a very fair question: is any kind of white paper or user example something that the marketing side of the house could take back and help explain what this tool does? Maybe not just to the team, but to the partners that are to the clients themselves. That's a feature request I think I'll just throw out there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we are working with the marketing team and they
Excellent.
are like slightly delayed. Like I think right now we're just getting IOCs with a white paper and stuff like that. So this is probably like next on that list. Like we're not so far out, but we're just a little far out.
Amanda, you've got answers to all my questions. You're awesome. What else should we be learning here? Is there anything else
Yep.
that we should be
There's
talking
one
about?
more grouping over here. So the
Mhm.
organizations, this is where you can add one to many. So if you click the edit, it's your straight up selection, whether you want to add a organization or remove an organization, this is how you would do it. Again, there's only 2 connected in here, so nothing too crazy to see. But then the other button next to that is the customized policies. So this is where I was saying in that previous screen, when I'm pulling in the policies and configuring the snapshot, I can do the global parameters. But if you need to set the parameters on individual tenants, this is where you do that. So this is the same as the customize button on the actions and templates, right? This is the actual configuration at the organization level. So you get your organization name here, you get your policy name here, you get what the global parameter is. And then if you need to make a change from that, you would then make the change here. It does let you know if you do something here, it does override the global parameter because it's assuming you want this at this organization level and not the global parameter level. And so depending upon the policy, parameters will be include, exclude groups, users, but sometimes we have IP addresses, sometimes we have other drop downs. It all depends on what type of policy it is that we're talking about here. And if you do need to look back and say, ooh, before I change this, what is the global policy again? You can see what the global ones are here by just toggling between the 2.
Very cool.
Again,
Intuitive.
yeah, hopefully that makes sense because it should be just like the other screens within here.
Very cool.
But
Hey guys,
everything
I know.
snapshot related is in here. You don't have to go anywhere else to do anything else snapshot related. You would just view on the dashboard those comparisons like I showed earlier. Everything you want to do with a snapshot is housed in this one view, and there's no other tab you need to go to.
It's awesome. Anybody have any questions on this? I know this is kind of a lot, but this is a powerful. This is the most powerful portion of the platform is Fortify, and this is getting no less powerful as the days go on.
This is kind of maybe a backwards or an older question, Anthony. And
Bring
then,
it.
you know, this with the nightly sync, it pushes up the additional access policy. If somebody was in there during the day and entered the portal directly and changed one of these conditional access policies, that was applied, would it then, kind of undo their edits during the nightly sync? Or kind of maybe talk to me how like, an engineer got in there directly and changed some of these Fortify policies that were put in.
Yeah, exactly. So if someone were to change it directly on the tenant, at the nightly job sync, we are going to reapply what you have configured in here. So it'll undo whatever they did during the day, and it'll reset it back to what you have configured here. Unless for some reason, and I can't think of an example, but unless for some reason there's a reason we can't override it. And in that case, it would show as being out of sync. You'd get that failure for whatever reason, and that error wouldn't be because of licensing. That error would tell you, because of whatever reason. Like I said, I can't think of one. The only errors I've really seen in here are due to timeouts and licensing and things like, technical things. But so I can't think of one. But if for some reason we weren't able to self-heal it, this would be red, and this would indicate to you that there was a problem that you couldn't reapply it to the settings that you had in here. And it would give you those details so that you could then sort it out.
And then kind of a follow-up to that, would it, when it did self-heal, would I have any log of, or kind of, hey, we had to, re-put in the MFA requirement for this group, or anything that kind of say, hey, somebody's been messing under the hood today?
So I believe you'd still just get that in the history. So if I go back to the dashboard, I didn't really dive into this to show you guys, but there is this like drift chart. So like if what the nightly job we tried and something drifted off, you'd be able to see in here that it had drifted off. I don't think that we're showing what you had to fix. I think we just say this policy had to be reapplied. I don't think we get to the level of saying like, someone changed the policy to be ABC and then we changed it back to be XYZ. I don't think so. I think we just say we reapplied XYZ. But I'll double check with our development team when I get off this call.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. It's good. It's a good, solid question. Amanda, my next thought was, this is very much for us. We are engineers. We like this level of detail. Are we going to have any kind of reporting that we can take back to the clients, like maybe during an annual or a recontract situation, to say, hey,
Yeah. So right now we have the org vulnerability assessment report and the threat mitigation report for Fortify. Those are going to be updated so that you have, similar to this dashboard, you can decide if you want to compare the tenant to the secure score or if you want to compare it to one of the benchmarks. And so those graphs will then dynamically change to then be similar to like what you're seeing here, right? It'll compare it to these, show you how you rank across the tenant, with these kind of benchmark numbers to that snapshot. But right now, Anthony, those are the only updates. It's more on the graphics of like the comparison, because in the end, the tables are still the tables, right? Like what policy has been applied, what action has been applied, what X. So those tables all still work. It's more for the visual at the top, what you're comparing it to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And to divert a little bit, are you able to show anything that our friends down in the Antipodes are going to be very happy about next month?
Am I able to show anything that who?
Our friends in Australia.
Oh, sure. So our actions, and actually I'm in dev, so that's where our templates are. So we've actually created the community templates in here for Canada. So now there's a DLP policy grouping for Canada. So this is the bundle of all those policies recommended by the Canadian government. And then Australia, we have the same DLP policy bundle. So that's all of them. So these will be launched as templates. I'm hoping this week. We've had a lot, we've had someone out on the QA team for a little while. So our QA team's kind of got a lot to handle, and these are just configuration items, so they're lower priority. But so we are trying to push these out, hopefully in the next week or two.
Excellent. I know a lot of our friends are concerned about the Essential Eight. Is Australia's government's concerns about where they want all their MSPs to be, and so this is going to help them a lot. Thank you, Amanda. In general, any other questions from any of the folks who've joined us late? Amanda, thank you so much. This was super helpful for me.
Yeah, great.
Excellent. Guys, I know people have joined late. We went through a little bit about Evil Jinx and about all the new happiness coming to Fortify. Does anybody have any questions in general? Small audience this time. I guess we're going to pull the plug early. I want to thank everyone for stopping by, and I hope you all have a great week. And I hope to see most of y'all on Thursday.